understand that I get 2 speaking times, and the first time I wish to speak before this body, I wish to employ the better angels of your nature. I understand that there will be certain opinions made, and I will be responding to those opinions in my second rebuttal. However, I'd just like to open with a few comments. First of all, I find it very interesting how we have such a vital issue, such an important issue, and yet here in this body of government that is supposed to represent student voice, we see a limitation of the ability to even discuss an important issue, the limitation of the ability to even debate on an issue. I find that disappointing. You know, I understand that all of us have our own individual opinions about the nature of this legislation, and we know what the nature of this legislation is about United Council. However, the decision before this body of government tonight is not about United Council. It has nothing whatsoever to do with United Council, and it does not have anything to do with what we think about United Council or what our opinions on United Council may be. It has everything to do with the empowerment of individuals on this campus. It has everything to do with empowering the people to have a right to have a say on this important issue. It has everything to do with the right of the people to have a vote on this issue. And the idea that we would have a Senate that would deny the people their right to have a say in this issue is ultimately, to me, very disheartening. In regards to United Council, in regards to this piece of legislation, the idea came to me several years ago, actually. I can remember at the time I was a freshman senator, and I was trying to collect signatures for my appointment. And there was one girl, and I'll never forget this girl, and she was signing my papers for approval, and she turned to me and she had a look of concern on her face, and she said, "What can you do?" And of course I was a young senator. I had only been appointed just 2 days earlier or so. And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "What can you do in terms of tuition? Because I am from New York, I'm paying out-of-state tuition, and not only that, but I also have to pay Wisconsin taxes because I work in the state of Wisconsin. And I spend the majority of my year here in the state of Wisconsin." And she said, "What can you do?" Well, as a young senator, I didn't have an answer to that question, so I said I'd look into it for her. And so I went to one of my honorable colleagues at the time, and I said, "What can we do about this issue? You know, she's very concerned, and she's wondering if she's going to be able to stay here another year." I was told at the time that it's outside her jurisdiction. I was told at the time that there was nothing we could do. And I remember going back to her, and I said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do." And I remember her just kind of get silent for a second, and she looked at the ground. And I knew from that day on that I would do everything in my power, everything that I could do to help her and help other individuals like her. Unfortunately, we have a situation where you have a question presented before this body. And as I said before, this is not a question about necessarily rejoining United Council. This is a question of whether we allow the people to decide whether they wish to join United Council. That's the central issue of this debate. And I understand that my time is getting low here, but I wish to implore some words of the past. And there was once a president that faced a tremendous amount of division, like we all see here tonight. He faced division, and he faced criticism, and he faced polarization. He wrote his second State of the Union address and sent it to the Congress. And in that address, he said some things that I would like this body of government to consider. before debating this issue. Yeah.
5 minutes is up, so if you could just wrap up your comments.
I wish to only say that you said that as our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. We must disenthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our country. Thank you, Minister.